Some backstory. I live in a small town in Canada, and my house was built in 2007. Before that, it was farmland. My great-grandmother and her kids immigrated here from Ecuador in the 70s. Throughout my family's bloodline, every woman in the house is believed to have some sort of sixth sense. My great-grandmother's sister was a powerful medium. My grandmother's older sister is also a medium and reads palms. My mother does tarot readings and informs me on her past experiences with ghosts when she lived in Toronto with my grandmother and great-grandmother. Ever since I was a baby, I've been seeing ghosts everywhere. My grandma told me that I would point to the corner and talk to it like somebody was there. I'm 16 now and have been living in this house for the past 15 years. Paranormal experiences have been happening to me for as long as I can remember, so it's just a normal thing now. My mum doesn't encourage me thinking about these things though. She tells me that it's all in my head. A month ago, my dad's parents came up from Texas to renovate our basement. On their last day, my grandpa told me that he thinks that our basement is haunted because of the voices he hears near the cold room. I told my mum about this and she lowered her voice to tell me that she lied to me. She said that it wasn't all in my head and that I've been seeing ghosts. She used to keep me in her room as a child and pray to God to keep the spirits away from me because she saw them too. So far, I've noticed one ghost or entity or something that keeps reappearing in different places. I first saw her when I was 8 or 9. Me and my cousin saw her in my closet. She had pale skin, long blue-black hair, and wore a deep blue dress. The most notable feature is that her nails are painted a shiny metallic blue that glistened in the dark. She held her hand out to us, and we ran away. The second time was when I was 11. At the time, I had a loft bed that was up near my ceiling. My bedroom was on the second floor. I was lying on my bed after coming home from school and saw that lady slowly walk by my window. Her nails were still painted that shiny blue. That was the most notable ghost I've seen. Apart from that, me and my younger brother, 13, both saw a glass cup on our table slowly slide over to the other side of it. I always see figures in my room and hear music in the shower drain. My entire family hears people talking in our bedrooms. Me and my brother have started to wake up with long scratches all over us. The house was blessed by a priest when it was made, but I don't think it worked. I'm getting scared, and I don't know what to do.
Hey everyone, I apologize for some formatting issues. I'm on mobile. I think my house is haunted or I'm going crazy. It started around a week ago. For some background, I live in a 1920s home. I live with 2 other people who are currently out of town. If it's relevant, the house flooded a couple of weeks ago. There's black mold, but it's very sparse. Also, the back door doesn't lock, so it could be someone coming in. Also, there is an attic which I don't have access to, which is supposedly flooded after the maintenance man came to have a look after the flooding of the house. A few weird things have been happening. For example, today, I wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom, and keep in mind again, my roommates are out of town. I find the pot plant on the top shelf has been knocked over. Keep in mind that I do own a kitten, but she can't even push down a 250-gram container. She's only 5 weeks old and can't jump on the bed without help. The toilet seat is also up, which as a female, why would I ever do that? I work from home most days. I go into the kitchen for a drink and the microwave door is wide open and not closed. I don't use the microwave at all. Few other things have been happening as well. I'm quite particular about how I position my soaps in the shower. I've been noticing for the past week, but they haven't been in the spot I left them in. I thought I was going insane, so I started taking photos before and after my shower to confirm where I've left them. They are definitely moving. Not to mention, there's a brown boot mark on the white tile, when again, I don't leave the house, nor am I that shoe size. I've checked with all my shoes, none of them match. I like to order Subway, a bit of a Subway fiend. I order a footlong but save half to eat later. I popped that in the fridge and never got around to eating it as I had a few work events that I had to attend in person. Very rare. The Subway, I notice, is also gone today. No one has been home, so I'm confused who ate it. To make me sound even crazier, I ran out of makeup remover the other day, and I go to reach for a cleanser that I don't like, that I got as a free gift from a pharmacy, and I've noticed that it's literally been duplicated. I now own 2 of these very specific cleansers that look exactly the same. I never went out of my way to purchase this product, considering that I don't even like it. Why would I buy it again? I don't even use cleanser on the regular, usually just micellar water. Been feeling like I'm going crazy, but I'm aware of it. It's all very real. I have photos backing up what I'm seeing. What do I do?
I used to live in a haunted guest house for about a year. So many crazy things would happen that I have absolutely no explanation for. It's a bit long, but here is a list of things I remember would happen. Weird noises and voices. I'm hearing impaired, so I wear hearing aids, and I know that spirits tend to communicate through electronic devices. I would hear voices and laughter quite frequently. I had a roommate, and I swore to him that I kept hearing these things. One time, I heard laughing again and asked him, "Do you hear that?" And he said no. I told him, "They're laughing right now. It's loud. You can't hear that." He couldn't hear anything. My items would be moved around. I remember this one time I found my vase with flowers in my laundry hamper. I was like, WTF. I'd only gone to work that day and my roomie hadn't been in the house that week. I texted him, asking if he put my vase in the hamper, and he said no. As far as I know, nobody had access to the house, including the property owner. My roomie told me that he had his ex come over one time, before me, and she claimed she saw an older man with a beard behind him when he was talking to her. It was only a split second and he disappeared. He wasn't able to see him, but his ex did. I probably saw the same older man with a beard. I was headed to bed, and I saw an apparition of an older man with a beard. I ran out of my room so freaked out and told him to sleep with me. I was very afraid of sleeping alone. We slept in the same room for a few months. I would constantly get sleep paralysis every single night at that place. I wasn't stressed out or anything, even though the place was haunted. But every night I had sleep paralysis. I wouldn't get sleep paralysis anywhere else, just that place. My roomie found a tube of lipstick rolling on the floor. He asked me if that tube of lipstick was mine. It wasn't. I asked him maybe it was one of his girlfriends. He said it wasn't theirs. It just appeared out of nowhere. He would have random objects appear to him, not belonging to anyone we knew. These spirits were tidy. There have been several instances where I'd leave my bedroom with my shoes thrown around and my bed unmade. I'd come home to my shoes being nicely put away with my bed made. Roomie says he never tidied up my personal space. After all these instances, I decided to install a security camera, with my roomie's permission, of course. I would see him come into my room. I had the only bathroom. Weird layout, I know. But he would never touch my stuff. The camera also came with night vision when movement was detected. Once again, I leave my place untidy. Roomie was never in my room. Nighttime falls, and the next morning my shoes and bed are made. Camera didn't pick up anything. Nothing would ever happen during the daytime, just at nighttime with my stuff being moved. Finally, I caught movement. I was spending my usual weekend with my boyfriend, now husband, and something triggered the night vision on my camera. It looked like someone walked right in front, and then you can see an outline of a little girl, and a shadow, possibly a man, walking. The video only lasted 5 seconds, and they were gone. No, it's not light from the window. The guest house was too far from getting lights from the street, and the curtains were blackout curtains. Not a bug either. I don't know how bugs can look like what was on the video. I remember sending my video to a medium, and he said it's definitely spirits caught on camera. He told me, before I could even mention it, that there's a young girl and an older man haunting the place. The only history about the house was that the property used to be abandoned. Homeless people would stay here, and teens would use Ouija boards there. That's a possibility for the haunting.
My wife and I bought our house almost 3 years ago. The very first night we were there, while lying in bed, about to fall asleep, we heard a loud knock on the kitchen floor, as if something very heavy fell. We jumped out of bed to find nothing, as we hadn't unpacked anything. Over the next few weeks, we would hear the doors in our basement open and shut. Several times I'd get up, go down to the basement, completely finished and not a creepy, dark, scary basement, to see if anything was out of the ordinary. There would be no one and nothing out of place. Over the time, activity would mellow out and ramp back up again. My wife and I would both on occasion catch someone standing in the kitchen, and we walked by the kitchen door. When doing a double take, no one would be there. Most of the activities we are experiencing take place during the day, so I do not believe it's being spooked by the dark. My children have had so many strange occurrences. I was in the kitchen one day. My son, sitting on the stairs to the basement, jumped up and ran to me saying, "The Batman is in the basement." I asked, "Where?" He replied, "At the bottom of the stairs." Being a rational adult and not wanting our 3-year-old to be afraid, decided to walk him down and show him there was nothing to be afraid of. We found no one. A couple weeks later, while I was at work, my wife and kids were home alone. My wife was in the bedroom, my son in the living room playing trains, screamed and ran to my wife shouting, "The bad daddy is in the kitchen!" Sometime later, my wife, kids, and I were in the living room watching TV while the kids played. Both my son and daughter stopped at the same time, looked at the kitchen, then followed something with their eyes down the hall into a bedroom, back down the hall and through the kitchen. Another time, the 4 of us were in the kitchen planting seeds for our garden in our seed starter trays, when our daughter stopped and looked at the doorway to the basement, smiled and said, "Are you playing in the basement?" She was 2 at the time and spoke clear as day to someone we could not see. Another time, we will hear our kids talk to someone while in their rooms alone. One Sunday morning while watching football, I was sitting on the couch with my back to the bedroom, open door. I decided to get up and make breakfast. The door was open when I walked to the kitchen. When I came back, the door was closed. I thought it was odd, but sat back down and continued watching the game. After a while, I got back up to go to the bathroom and noticed the door was open halfway. When I returned to the living room, it was shut again. The rest of the day, I sat in the chair adjacent to the couch so I'd have a full view of the door. We have had so many other strange encounters. These are a few I can think of off the top of my head. Activity seems to be growing and my wife wants to sage again. I try to be rational and remind her this is a 70-year-old house. There will be noises. But as a skeptic, I find it hard to be skeptical with the amount of activity we have.
I grew up in a small town. My house is one of the oldest ones in the town. We lived right beside 3 sets of train tracks. Growing up, I always heard voices. My friend heard them too in my house. They weren't regular voices, it's hard to explain. But if she didn't hear them with me, I would have passed it off as my imagination. It was only words here and there, but they came across like a dream. We heard them, but we knew they weren't there. Like a fast car zooming by. It was always a man, and we never knew what exactly he was saying. It was a regular occurrence when I was growing up that stuff would fly off the back of the toilet and hit the opposite wall in our bathroom. My mum finally told them to shut up and it stopped. When I was about 12, my parents and my brother went to my brother's hockey game at the local arena. I stayed at home and had a bath. Our bathroom was on the left of a hallway, with a washer and dryer on the right, and a door leading to an old office room that had stairs going to the basement. As I was having my bath, I heard heavy boot steps come up the stairs towards the back door. All of a sudden they stopped, and then they were outside of the bathroom door, and it sounded like something either kicked or punched the washing machine. It was loud. I was so scared I got dressed and ran away to a friend's house without leaving a note. I got used to the big guy and found out through a silhouette there was a woman in the house as well. She's not nice. She hangs around the stairs. Even now, at 31 years of age, if I go up the stairs at my parents' house, I always have this horrible feeling that someone is behind me and wants to pull me down. I've never had that feeling anywhere else. My nephew is autistic and would talk to the ghosts. When my nephew was 4, he told my mum that the man's name is Sonny and that Sonny watches us. He told her that if we wanted to see Sonny, we would have to go down to the basement and dig. Sonny died falling on the train tracks. He doesn't like the woman and won't go up the stairs alone, so I don't know much about her other than she is not nice. I have many more experiences, but I think I'm done for now. I hope it made sense and was a good read.
We sold our house because I think it's haunted. I've written about this before, but in the wrong subreddit, which was deleted. It was titled Bathroom Double Take, where I described a doppelganger-like situation with my husband. So if anyone had read about that experience and is now on this post, this is an update. After a few months of us living in this home, in which we plan to use as our second home, we have decided to sell it after some unusual experiences. Our real estate salesperson and the person who bought the home are aware of my claims and have made an informed decision to purchase this home, despite my claims. They probably think I'm a nut. This home is not an old one. It was built in 2019 and we are the third owners. We have gotten an air quality test done in the home. Both my husband and I have gotten physical examinations, and nothing out of the ordinary has come out of these tests. Now I will get into my experience. We bought our winter home last year in June of 2021. Originally, we're from Canada, but we have spent the majority of the pandemic between the USA and recently Costa Rica. My first experience was while I was taking a shower. The house has an ensuite washroom when you enter the room. If you go to the left, you will go towards the bathroom. If you go to the right, you will end up in the bedroom. From the shower, you can see the entrance to the bedroom. One afternoon, while I was showering, I watched my half-naked husband walk into the bedroom with a glass of lemonade. I then turned around to wash the soap off my face, and then turned back toward the door to rinse the shampoo out of my hair. This is when I saw my half-naked husband enter the bedroom, again, with the lemonade. When I exited the shower, I asked my husband if he re-entered the room a couple of times, and he said he only came into the bedroom once, and has been there for the majority of my shower. My husband had a similar experience. He was in the backyard looking into the kitchen. He claimed he saw me leave the kitchen and walk towards the mudroom. He was very confused when he entered the house to find it empty, only to find out that I had been gone for a couple of hours. On multiple occasions, I've heard the sound of my husband's car dragging on the driveway. We have the steepest driveway on the block. Every time he parks in the garage, you hear the distinct sound of the bottom of the car scraping the driveway. When I hear this, I usually unlock the garage door. There have been multiple times where I've heard the sound, unlock the door, just to find out he isn't home. We've both heard unexplainable whistling sounds that stop once we acknowledge the sounds. I guess it could be the vents, but for 3 days last week, our thermostat stopped working, and we still heard the whistling. There have been other trivial occurrences. I once woke up in the middle of the night because the fridge door alarm was going off. We have those annoying automatic toilets where the lid lifts when it detects motion. Well, those open on their own sometimes. I understand with modern upgrades there are going to be malfunctions, so I put those experiences under the questionable category. So we've spent the past week packing our things. We are those psychopaths that do not store anything in our garage other than our vehicles. The only other thing that is found in the garage is the water softener tank. That's it. So one lovely night, the car alarm goes off on both vehicles. Convinced that we're being robbed, we call the police. And of course, the neighborhood security also comes by just to see that our cars are perfectly in the garage, with no signs of an intruder. We officially moved out of the house 3 days before closing. We could not bear another day there, and our neighbor texted me to ask what all the commotion was at our house. I have no idea what she is talking about because we moved out. I may sound like a kook, but we've lived in so many houses, and we've never experienced anything like this. Edit. I forgot to mention, this house was a teardown. There was another house on the same property that I think was built in the 60s.
I experienced some strange and freaky things living in an old house when I was 16. My parents bought it years ago and sold it within 6 years of living there. I'd get home from school and was in the computer room downstairs, and there was a few times where I would randomly hear someone call my name in my mother's voice. When I used to get up to look around the house and respond with, "What?" I was completely alone in the house. My sister used to hear my dad call her name from the first floor of the house, while she was in the second floor, in her room. When she went downstairs, she was completely alone in the house. That day, she just took off in her car and left the house because it freaked her out so much. Another night, I fell asleep in my parents' room, so my parents went to sleep in my room. Around 3 a.m., they heard 3 hard knocks at my bedroom door. My dad responded with, "Come in," but no one did. So he got up and looked around to find us all asleep. When we first moved into the house, my dad found a collection of bowling balls in the garage that he immediately threw out after moving to clear out the space. Months later, my brother and grandmother used to hear bowling balls falling down the attic stairs, and there were no bowling balls in the attic. And this is when my father shared with them. He found those bowling balls in the garage when we first moved in. The creepiest situation that happened to us was a night when my parents saw me walk into their room in the middle of the night. I was wearing a vintage, laced, black turtleneck dress, and I stood at the end of their bed. My mum asked what I was doing up. I supposedly stared into her eyes and stood there in silence. She asked me to go to sleep and dozed off. When she opened her eyes again, I was missing. She then asked my dad if he ever saw me leave the room. He said no. So he then got up to check on me, and I was asleep in my room wearing a red pajama t-shirt. During this time, I went through a serious state of bulimia, depression, and isolated myself often, as I felt too self-conscious and insecure to go out and show myself. After selling the house, the new owner also experienced paranormal experiences, like getting her legs pulled down the basement staircase one night. We eventually did research and found out an older woman had passed in the house previously to us moving, but we don't know what kind of spiritual activity happened while she was alive with her family. The experiences we had are connected to demonic activity. Demons are the only ones capable of imitating human voices or taking on human forms. I always wonder if something sinister has attached itself to me, since living in that house, as life has gone into a very dark, endless spiral of bad circumstances and bad luck for me ever since. When I was younger, around 12, my dad moved into a house. Now, this house always gave me weird vibes. It constantly felt like I was being watched. I couldn't sleep with my door open, or without the TV on. Now, this is going to be two separate stories, put into one. The first experience I had was around 2 a.m. I was in the living room watching TV. It was the weekend, so I was staying up, not having a bedtime. Now, the layout of my house was slightly weird, and the living room was dead center of the house, surrounded by dark hallways and rooms. I started hearing noises in the kitchen, but thought nothing of it because we had dogs. A couple of minutes go by, and I can faintly hear my parents in their bedroom doing stuff. They were being loud, so I went to turn to look in the direction of their room. I was sitting with my back to the hallway, and as I'm turning, clear as day, I hear a child's voice in my ear say, "Don't turn around." I froze in place, absolutely paralyzed with fear. Then, I felt a tug on my hair. I promptly jumped up and turned on every light in my house as fast as I could. I didn't hear anything for the rest of the night, but needless to say, I didn't go to sleep until the sun was up. Fast forward to a couple of months later. It's Christmas Eve. Me and my sibling were sent to bed to prepare for Santa to drop the parents off. It was around midnight and I was laying in bed watching TV. I was too excited about presents to sleep. I saw something out of the corner of my eye and looked over at my closed door. As I looked over, I saw a bright blue mist figure float through my door. It was glowing, but not enough to light up my room. I watched as it floated from my door and then through my closed closet door. I was once again absolutely shocked. I covered up my head with a blanket for a couple of minutes until I felt better. I then laid on my side, facing the other side of my bed. The blanket took the shape of someone lying next to me. I laid there and watched as the blanket moved as if someone was breathing. This went on for a couple of minutes, and then suddenly, the blanket laid flat on the bed again. This all happened 12 years ago, and at the time I told myself I was just imagining things. However, the older I get, the more I'm convinced something was up with that house. When I talked to my dad about it, he told me some stories they had about hearing a little boy when no one was there. I've done research on the house and never found anything. However, as we moved out, we found handprints made in the concrete on the driveway. 2 sets of child's handprints with 1978 written underneath. Edit to add, I had 3 little siblings living with me at that house. However, during the first incident, they were all at their mum's, and during the second, they were sleeping across the house.
Hello watchers and listeners, thank you so much for watching. As always, a big thank you to all of the Reddit users who kindly allowed me to use their stories. If you want to help support this channel, you will find links to both my Patreon and my Teespring store in the description below, so feel free to have a look. And the biggest thank you to all of you who continue to support me. I truly do appreciate it. And remember,
Papa loves you.